77% of men over 50 who divorce never partner again within 10 years. Most observers call this a tragedy. We call it a failure mode. You spent 2 decades building what the market claimed it wanted: stability, emotional availability, commitment, provider mentality. You optimized for reliability. Then you stepped out of divorce court and discovered those same qualities now disqualify you. This is the stability penalty. The women you match with want the excitement of dating a 25-year-old with the security of your 45-year-old bank account. Spontaneity from a man with a mortgage. Passion from someone who learned that passion without systems creates chaos. If you try to meet these contradictory demands without cognitive infrastructure, you will bankrupt your peace and your assets. Today, we deconstruct the rigged game of dating after divorce for men. We aren't here to give you tips. We are here to rebuild your sovereign architecture. After years of being defined by we, you're terrified of the I. You enter the dating market seeking a replacement for your lost identity. This creates what we call cognitive variance, a scent of desperation the market detects instantly. When you text 3 times without reply, you aren't just fighting for a date, you're fighting for proof that you still exist. This isn't emotional weakness. It's outdated neural circuitry, insulated through years, possibly decades, of relationship dynamics where you learned your value came from how well you served someone else's needs. In the next 18 minutes, we will not discuss romance. We will conduct failure mode analysis on why intelligent men systematically self-sabotage, then provide the sovereign blueprint to protect what matters: your peace, your time, your assets. If you're ready for brutal honesty paired with constructive architecture, we begin now. Dating after divorce for men operates under penalty systems that female dating advice never addresses because the asymmetry benefits their side of the marketplace. These aren't challenges you overcome with better texting game. These are structural disadvantages built into modern dating economics. Penalty number 1. The nice guy feedback loop. In marriage, being nice was maintenance protocol. In the modern dating market, it signals low market leverage. When you lead with your resume, your stability, your kindness, you're inviting people to extract your resources while seeking excitement elsewhere. Basic economics. When you increase supply of a commodity, your attention, without corresponding demand increase, that commodity's value collapses. You're not being rejected because you're older. You're being rejected because you're marketing yourself as a clearance sale item instead of a rare artifact at auction. The mechanism. After divorce, your ego is fractured. You feel existential depreciation. To compensate, you become too available, too generous, too accommodating. But the marketplace doesn't reward overcompensation. It punishes it. Penalty number 2. The transparency paradox. She demands you open up about your divorce, then uses everything you share as evidence you're not over it. Research confirms men avoid discussing ex-wives not from emotional attachment, but from learned pattern recognition. Vulnerability doesn't build trust in vetting phase. It provides ammunition for disqualification. The mechanism she's running? Risk assessment, not connection building. Every detail about your past marriage feeds her internal algorithm. Will this happen to me? Your honesty isn't appreciated. It's weaponized. The sovereign response. You don't owe strangers your trauma as an entrance fee to your life. Sound familiar? Penalty number 3. The provider devaluation. Your ability to provide, once your highest value, now signals you're boring or too safe. Data confirms women praise maturity in theory, but don't want it in practice. One study found women want maturity, but don't want boring. Many divorced men lean so hard into being safe and stable, they forget passion still matters. The stability penalty operates on this principle. Reliability is priced in. A woman expects you to be stable. She doesn't reward you for it. If stability is all you offer, you're a commodity. And commodities are always replaced by cheaper, newer versions. You think, I am a good man. I have a career. Therefore, I deserve attraction. But biology doesn't care about your therefore. Attraction is not a reward for good behavior. It's a response to perceived sovereignty. This is why intelligent men fail. They apply logical negotiation to biological desires. Penalty number 4. The healing timeline mismatch. Therapists recommend 1 year of healing per 5 to 7 years of marriage. For a 20-year marriage, that's 3 to 4 years minimum.
But dating apps position you as unavailable if you're not actively swiping within 6 months. The market demands participation before you're systemically ready. This creates the nice guy feedback loop at scale. You enter the market while emotionally destabilized, seeking validation to prove you're okay. That desperation scent gets detected instantly. You get rejected. The rejection confirms you're not ready. You try harder. The cycle compounds. Penalty number 5, the financial invisibility. Post-divorce, you're maintaining a household on single income, possibly paying alimony, definitely splitting assets. Research shows the cost of living as a single person is 50% higher per person than for married couples. Your financial caution isn't cheapness, it's legitimate resource management after systematic wealth extraction. But women's dating advice positions financial awareness as moral failure. You're supposed to invest in connection, while your retirement account is still bleeding from the divorce settlement. The $400 per month you might spend on dating, that compounds at 7% over 10 years to $86,000. Over 20 years, $209,000. That's not a date budget. That's a down payment. That's leverage. That's optionality. You're not cheap for doing this math. You're financially literate after being financially devastated. These 5 penalties exist simultaneously. You're not fighting one disadvantage. You're navigating a systemic mismatch between what the market claims to want and what it actually rewards. Here's the failure mode intelligent men fall into. They apply logical problem solving to irrational market dynamics, then blame themselves when rationality fails. 67% of second marriages fail. 73% of third marriages fail. Not because we pick wrong partners, because we don't change the selection algorithm. We just swap variables and expect different outcomes. Dating after divorce for men fails when you treat it like a problem to solve instead of a market to evaluate. Most dating advice tells you what to do. The sovereign blueprint tells you what to protect.
Inventory lockdown. Time as restricted asset. Stop using dating apps as a dopamine source. Your time is your most restricted asset. Statistical reality. 77% of women stay single 10 years after gray divorce. 62% of men do. But the data doesn't say this. The 62% who repartnered aren't necessarily happier. They're just recoupled. The sovereign move. If a match does not meet your baseline criteria within 72 hours, the protocol is immediate strategic exit. Not because you're impatient, because you've done the total cost of relationship calculation. Previous marriage consumed X% of assets over Y years. Current dating consumes Z per month in direct costs, plus opportunity cost of time. Most men discover casual dating costs more per positive emotional return than any other discretionary spending category. Alternative allocation. That $400 per month dating budget compounds at 7% over 10 years to $86,000. Over 20 years, $209,000. During this inventory lockdown period, minimum 12 months, you're not recovering. You're recalibrating your value assessment framework. Most men measure worth by female validation. 12 months teaches you to measure worth by internal metrics: physical capability, financial sovereignty, intellectual autonomy. Abundance through solitude, the sovereignty shift. You become dangerous in the dating market the moment you genuinely enjoy the silence of your own home. A man who needs nothing from a stranger cannot be manipulated. This is not playing hard to get. That's manipulation. This is being genuinely occupied with your mission, your health, your legacy. Your scarcity becomes authentic. And authentic scarcity activates biological mechanisms in the female mind. We value what is difficult to obtain. 6 months alone will tell you more about your character than 6 years of marriage. Because in marriage, you got feedback loops telling you who you are in context of someone else's needs. In solitude, you get pure signal about who you are when nobody's watching. When you emerge, if you choose to, you're operating from abundance through solitude, not scarcity through loneliness. That shift in energy transmission is detectable at a biological level. The architect's frame: vetting over selling. Most men approach dating after divorce like door-to-door salesmen. Please choose me. I'm stable. I'm kind. The sovereign male approaches it like a CEO conducting executive search for a critical position. Instead of asking, "Does she like me?" restructure the cognitive query. Does she possess the requisite qualities to enter the peace I have worked so hard to build? This subtle shift completely alters your energy transmission. When you screen candidates, you are the prize. When you try to sell yourself, you are the commodity. You are not applying for a position in her life. You are the architect of your own fortress of peace. She is an invitee, not a co-owner. Build your personal operating doctrine, not boundaries. That's defensive language. Doctrine is offensive framework. These are my non-negotiables because I've done the systems analysis. Example doctrine statements. I don't date women who position previous relationships as 100% their ex's fault. It signals zero self-awareness. I don't participate in dating app culture that commodifies connection. I don't negotiate emotional labor expectations after date 3. I state requirements up front. This doctrine isn't about being difficult. It's about vetting over selling. Physical sovereignty, the CNS reboot. Age 45 plus divorced men have a biological advantage nobody mentions. Testosterone optimization isn't about looking good for women. It's about establishing a performance baseline that makes you indifferent to their evaluation. Lift heavy, not for aesthetics, for central nervous system recalibration. Your body needs to remember it's built for load bearing, not emotional service. When you can deadlift 1.5 times body weight, walk 10,000 steps daily, sleep 7+ hours consistently, you're not working out to attract women. You're building physical sovereignty that generates internal confidence detectable in every interaction. Women don't cause that confidence. They respond to it. That's the difference between source and reflection. These pillars don't guarantee you'll find a partner. They guarantee you won't need one to be whole. And paradoxically, that's when you become most attractive, when female validation becomes optional luxury instead of pursued necessity. But here's the part that matters most, the part other channels won't touch because it doesn't sell courses or coaching. Healing isn't about finding someone new. It's about realizing that for the last 20 years, you were a guest in your own life. You made yourself smaller to fit someone else's vision. You negotiated for basic respect. You traded peace for companionship that often provided neither. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Dating after divorce for men isn't about finding the right woman. It's about realizing you've been granted involuntary liberation from a system that was optimizing for someone else's happiness. Your marriage ended. That's historical fact. But here's what the grief industrial complex won't tell you. You're not broken. You're unsubscribed from a service that was overcharging you. There is a specific morning that every sovereign male experiences. You wake up. The house is silent. And for the first time in possibly decades, that silence doesn't feel like a void. It feels like ownership. Most men run from this moment. They scroll, swipe, reach out, anything to avoid sitting with their own thoughts. But solitude isn't loneliness. Solitude is the laboratory where you discover whether you actually like the person you've become. The loneliness industrial complex wants you to feel incomplete without female companionship because lonely men are the most profitable consumer demographic. Dating apps monetize your isolation. Self-help content monetizes your perceived inadequacy. Even men's empowerment content often just redirects your effort toward different female validation. But what if you're not lonely? What if you're just alone? And what if the difference matters? You have permission to choose yourself. Not in the narcissistic self-care sense the market sells. In the sovereign sense, you get to decide that your time, energy, and peace are not negotiable. You spent decades negotiating, compromising, adjusting your entire emotional architecture around someone else's weather patterns. You're allowed to be done with that. Dating after divorce for men isn't mandatory recovery. It's optional participation in a market that hasn't earned your investment. Some men will date and find genuine partnership. You'll know because the ROI will be positive, more peace, not less. More clarity, not confusion. More energy, not depletion. For everyone else, there is no shame in building a sovereign life where female companionship is occasional luxury rather than pursued necessity. Your peace is an appreciating asset. Every month you maintain it compounds its value. Every boundary you enforce increases its protection. If you're 45, divorced, and discovering this perspective feels like breathing for the first time in years, you're not alone. Thousands of men are sitting in quiet apartments right now, questioning whether something's wrong with them because they don't want to re-enter the circus. Nothing is wrong with you. You're experiencing natural biological response to systemic mismatch. Your nervous system is telling you, this environment is hostile to your architecture. The culture will call it fear of commitment. Your pattern recognition knows its efficient resource allocation. You are not defective because your marriage ended. You are now a free agent with the wisdom of a veteran and the resources of a king. Do not squander that leverage chasing the ghost of your 20s. Build your fortress first. The right people will respect the walls. The wrong ones will complain they can't get in. What was the exact moment you realized that pursuing a new partner was costing you more than it was worth? Was it a bad date? A ghosted text? The third woman who said you were too available? Or was it quieter? One morning when you woke up alone and realized you weren't lonely, just alone, and the difference mattered. Share your data point below, not for sympathy, for signal clarity. Help the man who is currently where you were 6 months ago realize he isn't crazy. He's just operating on an outdated map. If this framework provided you clarity on dating after divorce for men, consider joining our community. Subscribing ensures you don't miss the blueprints we build together, not because we want numbers, but because you deserve access to perspectives the market actively suppresses. I am the architect. This is your blueprint.